Kathleen, this all starts with your work. Eric's here because it was your idea. So give us some broader context, if you could, to kick off. And let me say before, we're going to talk up here until, for about 20, 25 minutes, and then we're going to bring all of you into the conversation in true City Club fashion with, microphones and your questions and all of that. Kathleen.
Sure. Well, the Cleveland Foundation has a really important through line for its work across all of its sectors. The foundation is here forever, and so we care very much about the future. And caring about the future means we must care about the children in our community because they are the future for us all. And so in our education area, in our human services area, in our economic development area, we care about what happens to our children, and we're working towards making life better for them. And so why shouldn't we be doing it in the arts as well? We have a firm belief that the arts can be an incredibly powerful tool to develop not only the educational attainment of our young people, but their personal development themselves. And Eric is the national, and I would say international expert on arts education. He understands at the deepest level what it takes and what it does for kids. And so we absolutely wanted to bring him here to launch this conversation with the community.
Darnell, I want to ask you, first of all, why don't you tell everybody what it is you do here? Because not everybody was here earlier when your students were performing and you were conducting.
Okay, well, yes. I am the L Sistema at Rainey conductor here. So those of you who missed us, we were here earlier and we performed a few pieces for the audience and those of you who were here. But I also teach dance and theater and music and private lessons here at Rainey, and as well as the Campus International offsite. I was helping coordinate that L Sistema there as well.
What is it about teaching in this way? I mean, Eric was just talking about students in Venezuela up to 20 hours a week focusing on performing, on practicing, rehearsing, performing together as an orchestra. Is that what you're doing here? Is it 20 hours a week with your top students?
Oh wow! I wouldn't go that far and say
Okay.
20 just yet. But no, a lot of our students do on their own time practice. But we
Right.
give them 2 to 2.5 hours here at least of instrumental time, and not just simply with the instrument in their hand, but mastery of all the skills. So we have the theory, we have the movement that's incorporated, the singing. So they definitely get about 10 to 15 hours a week, I would say.
I want to come back to the student experience and how you see that transforming children and how they see themselves. But Eric, I want to make sure we understand what we're talking about. What do we mean when we say mastery? What is that really?
Yeah, I mean, it's a soft term.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't have a finite definition, but it encapsulates this feeling that you're actually developing serious skills of a complex order, that you recognize you're achieving at a high level in a field that is recognized and difficult and that the world knows. I think part of the really profound element of mastery is you actually recognize that there's a big tradition you're participating in. Mm-hmm. That in fact, the fact that there are orchestras or dance companies and you have seen them and you recognize, oh, that's really high quality work. I am here and I am aiming in that direction. It is the recognition of the complexity of the skills that involve and the commitment and the grit and the determination to move into the long haul to actually achieve that. There's been a lot of recent research in education about grit being the critical quality for kids in disadvantaged situations succeeding. And there is nothing that develops grit faster than a recognition of how hard it is to play one of those damn instruments and choosing to go for it and not settle for mediocrity and practice at night and listen to what greatness sounds like, that is when you are in the mastery trajectory. And somewhere along the line, you start to have the pride that says, I've become good. I'm not great yet.
Right.
But that's when you're entering the world of mastery.
So we're not talking about turning every child who is involved in one of these programs into some sort of prodigy. We're talking about exposing them to the commitment to what it to and showing them, what is it you said before? It was recognizing in yourself the years of greatness of a certain tradition.
Yeah, I think we're creating relentless yearners.
Yes.
Individuals
Yeah.
who will not give up on their yearning to achieve greatness in this thing that matters to them and others. And along the way, you develop the grit that may turn to becoming a lawyer, may turn to entrepreneurialism. We don't need a whole bunch of new violinists, but we need a whole bunch of people with the fortitude it takes to become a masterful violinist.
And I think it is the arts uniquely that can do that for young people. No one denies the importance of academic subjects in school. Students must learn that, kids must learn that. But increasingly, the world is more and more complex. There are no right answers. The need to be creative in your life is increasingly important. There was a study recently by IBM that asked 1,500 world CEOs, what is the most important quality for success in business? And the answer was creativity. And it is the arts uniquely that can develop the sense of creativity, that sense of yearning towards and reinventing yourself anew constantly in striving towards mastery of a discipline.
And let me just add one other thing.
And then I want to ask Darnell.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
El Sistema has spread to 62 countries. And in 62 countries, they have acknowledged that getting kids to work 10 hours, maybe 12 hours, 9 hours in a week, it doesn't make any sense to any of them, but in every single country, the harder the kids work, the more time they put in, the faster their academic results go up.
The more time they put into not their
Into
homework,
not
into
homework.
the not homework.
faster their academics go up.
Love it.
And it
It's the secret.
perplexes everyone, but this is across all cultures, that the intensity of the brain development, the self-discipline, the executive function that is developed in the work of music starts transferring in any number of cultures.
Darnell, why do you think that is? I mean, beyond what Eric just said, why is it that the more time a child spends struggling to perfect their bow hold, struggling to get their fingers in the right places, listening for whether their fingers are in the right place, does that translate that
Well,
way?
one, I believe it's because in order for anything or anyone to succeed or grow, you need struggle. In order for, say for instance, you have someone who's doing weight training, the heavier the weight, the stronger they become. So the children need a challenge, you know. So, I mean, we see that every day. If any of you out there are educators, you see that every day. The more we can challenge the children, the more they're attentive, the more they want to grasp onto it. So I feel as though because we're focusing on mastering the art, it gives them more of a challenge. It brings them up, raises their expectations higher for themselves, and lets them know that they can think about being higher. Like you said, if they never know that this is what they're able to do, then they're not going to want to strive to achieve that.
Can you share a story with us about a child that you've taught and how you watched this kind of experience transform their lives?
I can. I have several of these students. We're going to call them Student A. So Student A comes into class the first day of El Sistema, and he throws his book bag down. He says, "I don't want to be here. I hate this. This is stupid. I can't stand." And so we say, "Okay, yes." And this is the first day. The next day he comes in, same thing, throws his book back down. "I don't want to be in here, I can't stand it." We say, yes. But we're still working with him, you know, and putting this instrument and giving him these lessons. So as the weeks progress, you start to see less and less of him not wanting to be there. And now you see him bragging to his friends that I'm here and I'm in El Sistema. This is my instrument. I play like this. You even see him wanting to transfer those skills to his peers. So we have peer teaching. And like you said in your talk, we want to see that continue to grow, that trajectory. And so now he's still in the program and he's so excited, and he goes home and he tells his brother, well, this is my instrument now, and I'm in the orchestra and I can play the instrument, and now his brother is in the orchestra as well. So yeah, it's and that's just one story. We have plenty of stories, and I'm partial because I'm a male, so I love to mentor young men. And so I love that when they come in and they have these what we label them as discipline behavior, behaviors and social disorders, which they're really not. They just need people to
have expectations for them.
Have higher expectations of them, and not to label them and say this is who you are and that's who you'll be.
But it's not just expectations, it's also putting them on a path where they can develop the mastery, right? There's nothing that makes you feel better about yourself than actually achieving something and being successful.
I heard one kid in another city state it in a way that is so blunt, it hasn't left me. He was about a 12-year-old guy, African-American kid, and blunt, kind of tough guy. And he said, if I play and I know people are thinking, isn't that cute? A black kid playing a violin, isn't that cute? I have failed. I will not have succeeded until those people are sitting there looking at me and saying, damn, that kid can play. That's his view of success. That's his view of what mastery is. And boy, that's a powerful set of thoughts.
Kathleen, we're not just talking about musical performance.
Correct. We believe that mastery-based education in all of the arts can have the same effect. So theater programs where kids learn every aspect of what it takes to put on a play, to write a play, to perform a play, to do the costumes, to do the lights, to do the sets, to understand the dialogue and the delivery, what that does for a kid's own sense of themselves can be incredibly powerful. The visual arts as well. Learning, I'm a visual artist myself, and so understanding color theory, what color does emotionally to you, what it takes to understand the materials, composition, and so forth, mastery in that field. Creative writing, what it takes to write a poem, what it takes to write an essay, to put your thoughts and your emotions logically on a page. All of it, any artistic discipline can have the same result. And not every kid is going to find an affinity for music. It may be theater, it may be public speaking, it may be creative writing. So we really want to be able to offer access to all of those disciplines to kids in the community.
Can you provide the audience, Kathleen, with a little bit more of a sense of what's different? Because surely, I mean, you've been funding El Sistema for some time. You've been interested in this kind of mastery stuff for some time. What are you imagining might be different than how the Cleveland Foundation has supported the arts in the past?
Well, we haven't really focused on what the best practices are of this work. We have had a long-standing belief in the value of arts education, and we have supported a lot of arts education activities, and we think that there is a broad spectrum, all of which has value. So let me certainly say that the whole range of arts education that takes place in school and out of school has value for kids. I don't want to dismiss any of that. But we think that it's going to be some time before we can hope to see every child have high-quality arts education in their classroom every day in school. I think it's only realistic to recognize that we're a ways away from that. And we shouldn't be sitting around waiting for that. And so what is there that we can do in that space outside of school time? And looking at the several programs that do exist in our community already, El Sistema certainly being one of them, but there are others where we know they have changed lives of kids. How can we make more of that available? How can we understand where there's nothing in our community, no access at all, and help programs grow in those what we might call art deserts in our neighborhoods. So we're really imagining a network of these kinds of programs throughout our inner city neighborhoods. And we're here really to talk with the community, to talk with Eric, to learn from what already exists so that we can understand at a greater level of depth what it will take to offer this to the community, and think deeply about it and begin planning.
Eric, one of the elements to programs like this that we haven't stated explicitly but was implicitly shown in the video is that we're talking about teachers who are artists themselves, not just music teachers or art teachers,
Right.
which are necessary in all sorts of ways. But the video of the instructors in Venezuela was very clearly, those were some very serious artists. Why is that so important in this model?
There's a rule that I apply to this kind of work that I call the law of 80%, which is 80% of what you teach is who you are. Your pedagogy, your activities, your techniques, very important, but what the kids are really drinking in is what is it like to be a master of that art form? How do you think? How do you breathe? What do you ask yourself?
Yeah.
And that is the enormous message they get from an artist who is an artist with them. This is not to say that teachers who are not currently practicing artists don't have a huge amount to contribute, but that there is something distinctively potent
Yes.
about active artists bringing that energy, set of thoughts, way of encountering everything in the world into the mix with kids. It has an amplifying effect.
It's like the difference between, in my own experience, there was the English teacher who had everybody write a sonnet, and then there was the poet in residence who came to hang out for a day and changed everybody's world.
Yeah, exactly. So there's something about this ringing authenticity that amplifies the impact.
I believe the children connect with that. Like you said, they see, they want to know, and even as for me, like for my teacher, I'm looking for that mastery. How does one breathe when they dance, or how does one breathe to extend the leg or the arm, or to vibrate? What does that look like? I mean, because it's one thing. First of all, we have to recognize that most children do not learn the same way. They do not bring in information the same way. So we're multi-sensory beings. So we have to give it to them like that, so we can't just explain it to them, because some children are not oral learners.
How do you share your identity as an artist while you are teaching?
Well, it's fun. For me, it's an equal exchange. I come in with energy from life, from the day. And this is my theory, and this is how I feel about it. I come in, I input energy, I give it to the kids, and like you said, it's authentic because this is who I am. This is not something, I can't be anyone other than an artist.
Well, you pick up your violin and you play with them, and
exactly,
you show.
Exactly, because it's not really
I wish it was
teaching.
handy.
Really.
It's not really teaching. It's more of what is the word?
It's as though you are creating alongside them.
Yes. It's more of a joint effort, and it's not really me dictating to them, but it's our effort together, and we're all learning. It's a learning experience for us all.
It has a little bit of the, sort of master-apprentice feel to it, rather than here's the workbook and we go through the stages of I know and you don't. It's rather we're together in this endeavor. It's really hard. Here's how I'm working on it. Let's work on this together.
And I think what really translates is the practical application to life that they get from an artist who's practicing the art, because you're currently in it, so you know the everyday practicality. If this is in, if this is out today, tomorrow, what's going to work, and they really get that. So you can say, all right, we're learning vibrato. This is what we're going to do, and they vibrate and they put it right into practice right when they get it.
Do you see, Darnell, you and I spoke about this a couple of days ago, and you said that that even when you're performing as an artist, that there is an educational aspect of it, and then, of course, we've just been talking about the artistic and performative aspect of your teaching. But talk about that approach that you have.
Well, as an artist and an educator, I feel as though there is an artistry to educating, an artistry to anything. I feel as though the arts is not just singing, dance, music, painting. There is an artistry to life. And I do believe the two are synonymous in that they're not separate. So when I go into teaching, I bring an artistry there. If I am in my artistry, I always want to educate, So if I'm playing a scale, I'm educating the children at the same time. If I'm playing a song, I love to educate the audience at the same time. And so that we're getting that dichotomy there, you understand? So there's always an educational aspect as well as an artist aspect, and that is life.